June 2009 on a super hot day, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat of an old Volvo, parked at the end of a dead-end street in front of two new houses. The drive here, though, was through miles of wasteland of New Orleans East, 4 years after Hurricane Katrina. I'm here because I'm an intern for Orleans Public Defenders. My job is to help the overworked attorneys, the overworked investigators, provide a zealous, caring defense for people who are indicted for misdemeanors and felonies in the city of New Orleans, but who don't have the money to pay for it, like most people who are accused of felonies. So I'm sitting in the car getting ready to do this investigation, and next to me is my new work partner, Ben. We've been at this job for all of 3 weeks, and we kind of think we have it under control. Ben is pre-law at Duke. He's about 21 years old. He is exactly the kind of person you expect to be doing this internship. I am 25 years old, by far the oldest person involved in this internship. And I am a graduate student in English, working on a PhD. So not exactly the kind of summer that you would expect for somebody in that position. But I had just finished my first year of this PhD program that I was doing because I loved abstract thinking, I loved philosophy, I loved just taking refuge in ideas and the origins of words and history. I was having I thought I wanted to pursue that, and I thought I wanted to become an English professor. But I also was looking around me that year and seeing all of the pretentious people and all of the posturing and all of the talking about books people hadn't even read. And I realized that I was taking, I was avoiding real life. I was avoiding real experiences. I was just going into this abstract world. And I knew I was missing something. I knew I was looking for something else. And 4 years before this, I myself had been an evacuee from Hurricane Katrina. So I'd left New Orleans, the city that I loved so much, at a time when I wasn't ready to go. This big, crazy, terrible thing happened that made me leave. So I had been thinking about that through my first year of graduate school, and I knew I wanted to go back to New Orleans, see how things were after Katrina, maybe work on some of my survivor's guilt, and not just be living in the world of ideas. So I was able to save up my money and got this internship, and there I am with 21-year-old lacrosse-playing Ben in his Volvo on a really hot day in June of 2009. So we've been doing this for a few weeks, and this is our first time where we're going to go try to find a witness to the crime that we're investigating, who might be not so friendly to us, who might be hostile to us even, because we're looking for the person that our client allegedly shot, and that person's cousin. Previously, we've been talking to people who are friendly, family, friends, teachers, stuff like that, people who are going to be on the side of our clients, but now we know this may not go so well. So we're going over our notes, we're trying to get ready, and then I hear someone yelling, "Get out the car, get out the car!" And then he's banging on the door, and I look out the window, I see a man with no shirt on, chest puffed out, gun in his pants. Reasonable person might have asked Ben to drive away or lock the car, but I obeyed and got out and faced this person. And I just started talking. I started saying all the things that I knew I was supposed to say, what my name is, what crime I'm investigating, what lawyers I represent, all of the stuff I'm supposed to do. And I keep saying who it is that I'm looking for. But this guy's just yelling at me. I'm repeating myself. Ben's totally silent. He's frozen. And I'm just going and going and going. Eventually, after a couple of minutes of this ridiculous back and forth, this man, no shirt, gun, says, my name's Mike Tyson. And that was funny enough. I cracked a smile. He smiled at my smile that we actually were able to break the ice and meet each other as humans. So with that weird introduction, he was like, "I'll go back inside and get the guy that you're looking for." So he goes back in the house. And ends up, of course, being one of the people that we were trying to talk to. So he invites us into his home. Has a shirt on now, no gun in sight, so doing good. And Ben and I need to take a statement from him and from his cousin. And so we do something also potentially dangerous or at least ill-advised, which is that we split up. So Ben goes and talks to this cousin, and I go talk to this guy who I now have a really good rapport with. So he invites me in his house, like I said, and we sit down on his couch. He has really good air conditioning. He offers me a cold drink. That's what we call a soda in New Orleans. And he gets to telling me about what happened on the day of this altercation with my client. So my job is to try to get all of the nitty-gritty details. Where were you? Who else was there? What happened? Who said what? All that kind of stuff. And he's answering my questions. But he's also telling me so much more. So he's one of the people who can't just tell his story or can't tell the story of that day without telling me what happened with his family at Hurricane Katrina, right? So this relationship with his cousin and how proud he is that he helped build a home that we're sitting in for him and his cousin to live in. How much he misses some of the family members who are still back in Texas 4 years after Hurricane Katrina, where they evacuated to. He built the house next door that we see at the end of this street that just has these two houses on it. So he's really proud of all this stuff, but he's clearly been through a lot as well. He even gets out the family photo albums and shows me pictures of the woman he loved who broke his heart and pictures of his kids that he hasn't seen in a really long time. And I'm trying to bring him back to, the day of this altercation, which is way less interesting than all the stuff he's telling me. And we're just kind of weaving it back and forth, and he's answering my questions, and I'm learning so much about him. So we're just about ready to wrap up with this, and there's a banging on the door to his house. He kind of comes in hot again and tells the person at the door, leave, no, I'm talking to this lady, you gotta get out of here. But then when he does open the door, it's his cousin who's a teenage girl, and she's like, no, you have to listen to me, this is really important. Michael Jackson just died. So now I know my investigation is over, and we turn on the television and we watch all of the coverage, all of the retrospectives about Michael Jackson, the videos, the photographs, all this commentary and stuff, right? So the three of us are sitting there, and Mike, we'll just call him Mike Tyson, is just so upset by this, right? He looks really heartbroken. And he kind of hangs his head, and he looks at the screen, and he looks at me, and he's like, he got really weird at the end there. But Michael Jackson was my boy. So, wrapped up the investigation, went back to the office, wrote our memos, I'm sure told some good stories at happy hour with all the other interns. And I went back to my PhD program after this summer of really interesting interactions and experiences and many other stories to tell. And I think about, what I was trying to do and what I was trying to find that summer. And I think about Mike Tyson all the time. And I think about how he couldn't just tell me what happened on that day, that he had to connect all these different parts of himself in order to answer my questions. And so now I think about, this part of me that really loves abstract thinking and wants to have philosophical discussions, but also the part of me that loved the wildness and the weirdness and the serendipity of living in New Orleans, and how I can bring those things together. So I didn't become an English professor, but I did become a high school English teacher. And now I help my students figure out what stories they have to tell and what stories they want their lives to tell. Thank you.
All you need. Don't worry, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not